back again with another draft here on the Lucky Paper YouTube channel. We are drafting the Forgiveness Cube. For those of you that have seen James on our stream before, we have played his Brea Cube over here. This is a cube without green, featuring all the great colors of Brea. And the Forgiveness Cube is a cube that James has been working on to reintegrate green into his cube design philosophy. My light's flickering. I don't know what that's all about. So, everyone's here a little bit early. I think it might... Is there like a button here I can press to make sure everyone's ready? Is that what this button is? Ready check. There we go. I'll click that button. So, basically, we're taking the same themes from the Brea Cube, which is artifacts, enchantments, self-discard, and sacrifice. Pretty Brea-ish themes, but we're adding green into the mix. This cube has never been drafted before. This will be the first ever draft of it on stream, and ever. And I don't know what to expect. So we're going to kind of go in a little bit blind and see what we come up with. Looks like the only person we're waiting on to say, we're waiting on a couple people. But there's no timer set on the draft, so I might just start this thing a couple minutes early. I'm not sure. What are these tags? Watch list weak, watch list power level. Ooh, a little secret clues here as to what James thinks. Ren and 6, Noxious Gear Hulk, Blast from the Past, potentially OP. I would be surprised if Noxious Gear Hulk was overpowered. It's a 6 drop. Blast from the Past is really good, but how overpowered can a burn spell really be? And Ren and 6 is broken. I'll take Ren and 6 first. That sounds great. So what are the green things that James is interested in? We have some lands matter stuff, some artifact matters stuff, some enchantment matters stuff, some second card draw turn matters stuff, a bunch of things that make artifact tokens, Titania, there is a power level outlier. I'm still waiting on Max and Nexus. I'll give him a couple more minutes. And then weak is Radical Idea, the Modern Age. I think I agree with those assessments at first glance. Sandworm Convergence, that's a spicy one. Do we have any way to cheat enchantments out? Let's see. I don't see anything. I think we're just straight up casting that 8-drop is how James expects us to play this. God Pharaoh's Gift. Fixing is double shock. And looks like single fetch. Single fetch, double shock. All right, that's good to know. Is this less fixing than the Brea Cube? Pretty comparable, actually. All right, I'm going to start the draft. We might have to spend a few minutes on the first pack, but they'll get around to it when they get around to it. Let's just do this thing, though. Plenty of time to think about this, given that we are waiting on them to get back to their seats, probably. Okay. So, what do we got here? I think in terms of just proactive cards, Nightmare Shepherd is quite good. Let's make sure we got the right list here. Is Jen Jansen in this list? Mardu, Jen Jansen, Chaos Crafter. Okay. So, Nightmare Shepherd is a good proactive card. Galvanic Blast is a good burn spell. Sakura Tribe Elder, perfectly fine ramp spell. Ramanap Excavator. Do we have land removal stuff? Looks like we have no land removal. It's good. I'm glad to not see like a Strip Mine Wasteland in combination with Ramanap Excavator. So there we're just combining it with fetch lands for value and cycling lands for value and whatnot. Maybe there's some self-mill going on, but I would want to have a bunch of fetch lands before I committed to something like that. March is also a really good removal spell, probably on par, or actually in this environment a little better than Galvanic Blast. Guess it depends what you end up doing. So I think for me it's between March, Galvanic Blast, and Nightmare Shepherd. Galvanic Blast is the only red card. How hard would it be to play mono red in this cube? Kind of hard. 23 creatures overall in the entire cube. A lot of them are very synergy based, like your Goblin Engineer, your ATOG, stuff like that. I think that's the most flexible, though. March is really good. But the other thing about taking Galvanic Blast is we can't really wheel anything in red except for Jen Jansen and Territorial Kavu. Whereas with March, we could wheel Touch the Spirit Realm. Okay, let's go. this is hard. There's also an extra enchantment removal, so I'm going to rate Nightmare Shepherd a little lower even for a 4-drop, and I'm going to say Galvanic Blast. I'm not sure if that's right. I just don't know if that's right. Okay, here, what we got? We got some more efficient removal in the form of Fatal Push. We have Fateful Absence. Psy Maverick Thopterus is an interesting build around. It's still early in the draft, so I could prioritize a build around and get there on it. I kind of like that. I mean, Fatal Push is really good. That would be my next pick out of this pack, but I like taking a more committal card early. Let's try to draft some artifacts. All right. Immediately, we have some cards that fit perfectly in our blue artifact deck in Thought Monitor and Saheeli Sublime Artificer. I think I like Thought Monitor more. This card has a really high ceiling. I mean, potentially 1 mana Muldrifter is very, very good. Whether we'll get to 1 mana or not, probably unlikely we'll get to 1 mana, but still really powerful. There's also good cards in this pack just generically in terms of Blade Splicer, Alpine Guide, Animate Dead. Animate Dead. What are we animating dead? Looks like nothing totally unfair. I'm trying to scan the gold cards real quick. Yeah, looks like we're not doing anything totally unfair with Animate Dead. It's kind of a fair Animate Dead. I'm going to close this tab so I don't get confused. If we were doing aggro enchantments, Manchiko's Reign of Truth is great. So I think if I were to try and stay open, I would take a Blade Splicer or maybe an Alpine Guide, but I think Thought Monitor is a big enough reward, as is Psy, that I'm happy to prioritize it now. Let's do it. Looks like everyone is in the draft and picking, so we're good to go. All right, now we have Prismatic Ending. That's really good. A Little Chat is not that great. Hallowed Fountain, Watery Grave. Yeah, so I'm looking at Prismatic Ending, Watery Grave, Hallowed Fountain here. Ginger Brute, one little step down, I think, from those three. And these fixing lands are in blue, but not red if I plan on playing Galvanic Blast. So if we're going to play white, it's like Hallowed Fountain, Prismatic Ending. Maybe I'm a little high on Prismatic Ending. I really love that card. I think it's so good. What color are we more likely to want to play in an Artifact Matters deck in this cube? Black or white? Let's take a little peek here. So in terms of white, we have like kind of a couple things floating around, but not a ton of artifact support. And in black, we have, I think, probably even less. This is going to be more about discard. And so I think white, we could splash things like Prismatic Ending. Black, we could splash things like other removal spells. I don't know. I don't think I'm just going to take the Prismatic Ending. Yeah, I'm doing it. Maybe we're just blue-white. I don't know. Okay, here. See, you should have taken that Watery Grave. We got a Baleful Strix now. This pack is really good. Fabled Passage is very open, as in it will go in our deck no matter what. Dragon's Rage Channeler is extremely good, and if we're casting non-creature artifact spells, it's just going to grow and be very powerful. The Royal Scions is also just very powerful. I mean, I think you want to be a little proactive before you're really excited about this card, so you can actually get benefit out of the second +1 ability. But +2/+0, First Strike and Trample is big game, and just repeating that over and over again, a 3-mana Planeswalker that upticks to 6. There's also Baleful Strix and Witching Well, which are thematic with our Thought Monitor and Maverick Thopterist. This is a big decision point. And in these 5 cards, I mean, honestly, even Bloodstained Mire, which if we end up playing red or black, we're very happy with. Holy boy. Are we going to wheel one of these? Yeah, there's 7 cards in this top row here, so there's going to be 3 cards left in this pack. I would gamble it's going to be Turntimber Sower, Spear of Heliod, Secluded Step. I don't think we're going to wheel any of these. Oy. This is really painful. I think the Royal Scions is the best generically powerful card in this pack. But I don't know if drafting generically powerful cards is the way to win in this cube. I suspect we probably instead want to be doing some more synergy-based stuff, which makes me want to take Baleful Strix, Dragon's Rage Channeler. Oh, jeez. Gosh. There's only 2 packs stacked up to me, so I'm taking my time to think here. When that 3rd pack appears, I will... So like, what am I most committed to? I'm really not committed to much of anything right now. I mean, I'd like to play Psi and Thought Monitor, which would require me to have artifacts. Baleful Strix means I'm not playing, probably, either Prismatic Ending or Galvanic Blast. So we're giving up a little more of something to take the Baleful Strix. So I think for me it's between Dragon's Rage Channeler, Fabled Passage, the Royal Scions, Bloodstained Mire. Draw a card, then discard a card. Nothing I have cares about that right now. Yeah. I'm going to say that I think the Psi is also maybe, like, not great. I've never played it outside of the Turbo Cube, where it is broken. Max is also in the tank, so I have a couple seconds here. I think I'm just going to take Fabled Passage. Bloodstained Mire? Fabled Passage. We're going to take Fabled Passage. I'm doing it. Oh, I don't know. That feels bad. Okay. Now we have... And also I feel like that pack also sends a sign that, like, blue-red or blue-black is open, which I'm drafting some combination of that, so it doesn't feel great. Here, I'm looking at Razortide Bridge, Avacyn's Judgment, Talisman of Conviction. Fae of Wishes is interesting, but I don't think that good. Avacyn's Judgment, if I have discard outlets, which right now I don't. I didn't take the Royal Scions. Talisman of Conviction is good if we end up in an Artifact Matters deck, though it doesn't really do anything with Thought Monitor because it already produces mana. That card also wants to go big, but it's also mana fixing. Razortide Bridge, also mana fixing. All right, I'm between these two now. And I think I'm just going to take the mana fixing. I mean, it's both mana fixing. This is cast an artifact spell. You know what? Screw it. Let's take the Talisman of Conviction. I haven't played Talismans in a long time in any cube. All right, now we have a Hallowed Fountain, which is quite good if we want to play white. We have Rip Apart if we want to play white. We have Cat's Eye. So white is actually looking like the most open color, I dare say, in our seat in terms of the past couple packs. So I think we take this Hallowed Fountain. Very tiny, itty-bitty, tiny chance we get that Rip Apart back around. I kind of don't think so, but who knows? We got some packs stacked up on us now, so I'm going to start making picks a little faster. Azorius Signet, Thraben Inspector, Polluted Delta. I just got to take the Delta. Need to eat my vegetables here. Back to our first pack. Territorial Kavu did come back around. That's one, and as did Jen Jansen. The two things we said we could potentially wheel. We didn't take the other white card in this pack, which was March of Otherworldly Light. But we did get Touch of Spirit Realm back, which I think is quite good. So I think there's one other white drafter, maybe. Or definitely at least one other white drafter. Here, we do have a lot of different kinds of basics. Maybe Kaleidoscorch is going to get there over Jawari Disruption for us. We're looking at currently being like a Jeskai deck. Working pretty hard to build a like flashback Lightning Strike. You know what? Sure. I think I like that over Jawari Disruption. Okay, so no one's taking the aggro enchantment artifact deck cards because that's like the premier one. And if we wanted to be that deck, how far are we from it? I think pretty far. Dance of the Manse is really cool. X target artifact and or non-R enchantment cards. X or less figure to the battlefield. 6 or more. I mean, that's just like a... Got to get to 8 mana, but then it's a kind of win the game button. I also just think Cleansing Nova could be great. We have removal spells right now and card draw. Granted, it's card draw that once you have artifacts in play. I'm going to take the board wipe. I think it's a high return on investment there. Do we take Warrior Grave? There's no way Baleful Strix is going to be in the next pack. No chance. Right? I mean, what are we giving up? I mean, are we playing Ginger Brute in this deck? I don't think so. Ox of Agonis is like a madness kind of card. A Little Chat is fine. It's like a 2-mana instant speed sleight of hand that you can double if you really want to. It's nice that it's an instant with casualty. Instant with casualty is pretty good. Taking the Watery Grave. Let's be a little greedy. Oh, baby! Ooh! You love to see it. That's amazing. Okay, very happy with that. And then, sure, Treasure Vault, whatever. We're not going to play Treasure Vault. Get out of here. Right? That card's not good. I don't think it's good. So what colors are we playing? Blue is honestly looking like our splash right now. We're looking more like a Mardu deck. Didn't take Jen Jansen. I don't know how good that card is. It's too much text for me to read and process. Maria, sure. So cards that are controlling Touch the Spirit Realm, all the removal spells, Talisman, board wipe. Cards that are aggressive, none really, save for the 2 burn spells that can both go face. We're not really doing much with Psy and Thought Monitor right now. We have like 2 other artifacts we're casting, which is not a whole lot. Let's take a look at this pack. Blood Crypt, if we do plan to be both black and red, has probably got to be the pick. And I don't think we're giving up a whole lot. I got to read the Warhammer 30k cards. Flying, 3 mana, 3/1 vehicle. When it enters the battlefield, you make a 2/2. That seems pretty darn good. Just generically powerful there. Ironcrag Pyromancer 2. Draw your second card each turn. A little chat we didn't even take. Also, I don't think it draws a card. Baleful Strix draws a card. Psy can draw 2 cards. That draws some cards. Maybe we'll wheel that Pyromancer. I feel like people aren't that high on it. I'm going to take this Blood Crypt, but I think Night Scythe is really good. And if we were aiming to be more aggressive, I would probably take the Night Scythe. But let's take Blood Crypt. Now, here's a card that James is worried is a potential power outlier in Noxious Gearhulk. I don't think I agree based on what we've seen so far. What do we have going on here? Esper Sentinel, Karn Scion of Urza, Combat Courier, Guardian of New Benalia, removal spells, and Takanuma. I kind of still just want to be Jeskai splashing black, I think, which means, but I mean, Noxious Gearhulk is really good. So, does that mean we're splashing white? We don't play Cleansing Nova. We just basically so far splash Prismatic Ending, maybe Touch the Spirit Realm. White seemed really open in pack 1, though. Red did not really seem that open. Galvanic Blast, Kaleidoscorch, not signs. So we could end up being a Esper deck. If we were more aggressive again, I think Esper Sentinel would be the pick here. But I don't know that aggression is going to be rewarded in this environment. If I know James, I think that decks are going to be complex little puzzles that you're going to have to work out. Okay, we've got a pretty good top end. And now in our Esper deck, we are doing more artifact-focused stuff. And the only fixing land we're not playing in the Esper deck is the Blood Crypt, probably. So, if we are Esper, which the best card in this pack, maybe Emery. Academy Manufactor is so cool. I have nothing that does anything with that yet, but that card is really, really cool. If we get that on the wheel, I will try and make it work. Metallic Mimic is a good card. Helm of the Host, is that viable here? The card was a beating in Dominaria Limited, but it is 9 mana before you get any activations off of it, but the idea of making copies of Noxious Gearhulk or Psy or Thought Monitor, very appealing. But I'm going to take Emery first over Murderous Cut and see where that takes us. There's a blue-red fixing land, but we think we're no longer playing blue-red. If we're playing Esper, we have Curator of Mysteries, Boon of the Wishgiver, Bone Miser. Okay, hold on a sec. So Jeskai Ascendancy is a combo with Emery. If you have cheap artifacts, which right now I don't really. We really want is a 0-drop artifact. Like, what kind of 0-drop artifacts we got here? Let's see. We have none. Everflowing Chalice is the only one. It doesn't self-sacrifice, so we couldn't loop that with... Okay, so Combo Emery is off the menu, which makes me not excited to take Jeskai Ascendancy. If you have like a Lotus Petal or something, you can just, go infinite and then turn that into a bunch of mana and do stuff, but I don't think that's the case. So we're looking at like Boon of the Wishgiver, Curator of Mysteries, Bone Miser. Bone Miser does make... No, it doesn't. It adds mana directly. It doesn't make artifact tokens. I can't take another 6-drop. I don't even want to take a 5-drop. I have 5 packs stuck in me. I'm going to take the Curator of Mysteries. It's flexible. It's fine. Yeah, we'll take Curator of Mysteries. That's fine. All right, now A Chroma's Vengeance is great, but I do already have Hallowed Fountain. Maybe we wield the Irrigated Farmland and we just take another board wipe. I want like 3 board wipes before I can actually like plan to have them in a given game. And so I think I want to take this Chroma's Vengeance, prioritize that. This one is a little bit of a nombo in that it will destroy like mana rocks and stuff, which is normally what I want to do in my... We're not seeing cheap artifacts, by the way, so far. I'm going to take a Chroma's Vengeance. We're going to try to be more controlling deck. Everflowing Chalice, Hard Evidence, Metallic Rebuke, Containment Construct. I think I like the Mana Dork, or the Mana Rock here. It triggers Psy. It's an artifact for Emery, which means that her mill is more close to draw cards, and it gets us to our top end and our board wipes. Yeah, I think that's just going to edge out Hard Evidence, probably. Felt Our Retreat is honestly probably pretty good here, too, but it feels completely non-synergistic with what my deck is doing, so I'm going to focus on this synergy here. Diabolic Intent. If there is combo stuff to be done, that's the kind of thing I want, but we just established there is no Emery combo. So I don't think there's going to be a combo thing I want my deck to do, which means I'm on Miscalc or Seal of Cleansing. I think Seal of Cleansing is really good here. There's a lot of these artifacts and enchantments floating around. Neither of these are triggering. So far, we don't have really that many artifacts in our Artifact Matters Esper control deck, which is not a great feeling. Are we going to be tapping out on our turn or holding up mana? So far, we have no instant speed anything except for channeling Touch the Spirit Realm and cycling Curator of Mysteries. So I think we'll play the Seal here. God Pharaoh's Gift is for like a really creature-heavy deck. Regisar is just a good card. I mean, some decks won't be able to beat that. The Madness decks are the ones that really want it, obviously, which we don't have. Rite of Oblivion, sacrifice a non-land permanent. Overcharged Amalgam, Flash Flying Exploit. And you can counter a creature, counter a target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. I'm not going to have cheap creatures to exploit. I think I want Rite of Oblivion. My goal here is to have cheap, dinky little artifacts. Like, I didn't get the Witching Well in pack 1, which is a shame. But, like, that's the kind of thing I want to sacrifice to Rite of Oblivion after it triggers my other stuff. Pack around. Kasmina was actually something I was kind of looking at in the first pack. That Night Scythe thing is gone. Other people did spend time to read it. Imposter Mech is a clone. I'll just take Kasmina here. I mean, this is another artifact to trigger Artifact Matter stuff. It's only a creature an opponent controls. That's so situational. I do want to trigger my Artifact Matter stuff, but it's so situational. We'll just take Kasmina. All right, if we're a control deck with Kasmina and 2 board wipes, then I do want Karn. I want things that survive the board wipes. So Karn it is. Which is a shame, because Combat Courier is the dinky little artifact I just mentioned wanting, but I don't think we are that proactive of a deck. I think we're slower. So I think Karn is harder to replace, basically, than something like a Combat Courier or a Deadweight. We would play almost any of those cards, probably, at the end of the day. So what other sort of Planeswalkers are we looking for here? Filter. Kaido Shizuki would be sick, though it is a kind of Creatures Matter thing. We already missed out on Saheeli and the Royal Scions. Nihiri's not really in our colors. So we already have the 2 Planeswalkers that we can have for this deck. I get the sense that like a Planeswalker control deck is not really something that James had in mind. And to be fair, Kasmina does not uptick indefinitely. But it's the kind of thing where if you can play her and protect her for a turn without activating, which is risky because if you do lose it, then you get no value off of it. Then the next turn you can board wipe, down tick, and immediately have a board presence, which could be good. Let's put these into 2 columns, or 2 rows rather. How playable is Psy right now? Baleful Strix, Talisman of Conviction. Where'd Everflowing Chalice go? We did take Everflowing Chalice. Oh, it's down here. That makes sense. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Psy looking pretty bad right now, TBH. I hope that Foggy Bread is still there. Let me check them real quick. 1 sec. No, they are. Okay, we did get this Helm of the Host back around. Blood Fountain creates a blood token. You can sacrifice Blood Fountain to return 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Again, more stuff for like the discard deck, which we are not. I'm going to take this Helm of the Host very speculatively. So far, we can stick it on Baleful Strix, Noxious Gearhulk, Thought Monitor, or even make another Psy if we wanted to. I think it's probably going to be too greedy, but that's the other thing that can help us rebuild immediately after a board wipe. Bastion of Remembrance might buy us some time because I don't think I want more high-end stuff. We're not discarding stuff. I guess Marionette Master is better than Bastion of Remembrance in this deck, but I'm probably not going to play it. Woe Strider, fine. I don't like the number of on-colored cards here. I'm not thrilled to play. Metallic Rebuke we probably will play, even as a bad. Mana Leak. Diabolic Intent. Are we playing that? We might actually, maybe, as a way to find our board wipes when we need them. Okay. Here, I am looking at Siren Cling for mana fixing. We also have Portable Hull for removal, though more susceptible in this environment than many others because there's more artifact and enchantment removal running around. Prophetic Prism to buy us some time and get us to our board wipes faster. Archfiend of Ifnir is another finisher. Birth of Melodus is what I think I'm going to take, though. This is basically a Wall of Omens with more stuff going on. The only reason I wouldn't take that is if I think I can wheel it. And White felt open in Pack 1, but not so much Pack 2. We're passing the same direction again, and I think most decks that would want Birth would probably take Tashar over Birth, which means that maybe, just maybe, I can afford to take a Silent Clearing. Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to try to wheel this Birth of Meletis. We're going to try and wheel it. And of course, we immediately get a Godless Shrine. Is that the pick, though? Over Sigil of the Empty Throne? Yes. We have Touch of Spirit Realm, Seal of Cleansing, and nothing else. Collective Brutality. Not really a Collective Brutality deck because we're not really benefiting from the discard. I mean, it's a fine card to play just generically, but in this cube specifically, I think it is here because you can abuse that discard. Censor is also fine, though we are not a holding up mana deck, really. I think we just take more fixing. This also turns on fetch lands that aren't currently turned on, right? We only have the one fetch land, Pluto Delta. But right now, Delta does not get white, so... Oh, I lied, it does. We have Hallowed Fountain. I think we just gotta take the fixing. It's fine. So far, it really feels like we're not going to get there on this Psy. Or maybe this Thought Monitor. Like, Scrap Trawler would be a thing if I felt like our deck... You do make artifact tokens. Like, we're not getting there on Emery currently either. Which means that we're currently on 23 minus 7. So we're on 16 playables. So here I, like, consider Make Disappear... one of those two. Dahada's Ploy. Draw 2 cards, discard a card, gain life equal number of cards discarded this turn, and it's got Jumpstart. Yeah, but we're not really doing the Madness thing either. So, a Counterspell or a Cantrip. So far, we're not holding up mana except for Metallic Rebuke. I think we probably want to hold up more mana, though. I think we want these Counterspells. But then again, we also have no way to like filter our draws right now. Well, we have Cycling the Curator of Mysteries. We have Kasmina to filter draws. Karn draws cards effectively. Let's take the 1 mana card. Cheap card, good. Mind Stone. I think that's really good. And does that put something like Emery or Psy back on the menu? Hopefully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It feels pretty rough. So the question is Mind Stone versus Solemn Simulacrum. Simulacrum is slower, but obviously offers more value. It does ramp you. So it will get me to my 5 mana and 6 mana for my board wipes. And it's fine to board wipe away because you just draw a card. But Mind Stone just gets you there faster. This can also buy time to chump block something. Let's take the Simulacrum. I'm worried we don't have enough board presence or enough removal spells to not have any board presence. We can't justify our lack of board presence right now. Athreos, Shroud Veiled. Indestructible, white and black, less than 7. You can put a coin counter on another target creature. Whenever a creature with a coin counter on it dies, just put an X or return the card to the battlefield under your control. That seems very good. Okay, so Spirited Companion is fine. It just buys time. I think we already have too much high end for something like Meteor Golem. I honestly wonder if Athreos is the look here. This is something else that survives board wipes. I know we have other 6-drops, but this one's really not looking very good. Let's just say that. If we take Athreos, like Athreos into board wipe is great. It's indestructible. I'm taking it. I think Athreos is there. I don't know. We're going to find out. Here we have Tameshi if we were the artifact deck, but we're just really not, unfortunately. Lethal Scheme is a removal spell. We don't have a lot of creatures, so it's just a 4-mana murder, which is not awful. Hidden Stockpile at the beginning of your end step, permanently control both battlefields turn, create a 1/1 servo, and you can sacrifice a creature to draw a card. We're not like the... We're not the... like, dinky little creatures deck either, but we do have 2 fetch lands, a Horizon land. Like, what else are we taking? I guess Lethal Scheme is just a murder? That feels pretty bad. Hidden Stockpile does survive board wipes. Nah, I'm just going to take a murder. We need removal. We got Kaito. Okay. I love dress down, but this is easy Kaito. Draw a card and discard a card once you attack this turn. So it can just loot, and then again, once we survive, yeah, we're taking it. There's no question. No question. Land tax. Pilgrim's Eye, Brain Maggot, land tax. Do we have enough red fixing to just take a Silver Bluff Bridge and turn on Galvanic Blast and Kaleidoscorch? Let's see. 1, 2, 3. If we play a mountain, we have 3, 4, 5 red sources. Is that enough to splash 2 red removal spells? We got to start looking at splashing because we are looking at 19 playables right now. And I don't really want to play things like this Lethal Scheme. And right now my removal is very minimal until I get to the board wipes. I've got 1 O-Ring. I've got 1 Prismatic Ending. I think that's... I mean, a Braid is really good if we already had the red fixing. I think the ceiling is high enough on that it's worth it for me to play a mountain. This also makes our Prismatic Ending that little bit better. I think I want to play these burn spells, if we can. Okay, we got the Birth of Meletis back. Meletis. I would also play Omen of the Sea in this deck, but I really want that 0/4 Defender to buy us time. Now if we look at blue cards again, are we playing Is It Charm in this deck over something like a Radical Idea? It's probably just Radical Idea. It's a pretty greedy deck. I don't tend to draft decks this greedy, but this is where we ended up. Double black on Lethal Scheme. Get out of here. So now, black is really kind of looking like a splash until you get to Noxious Gearhulk and Athreos. I mean, we have Kaito, Baleful Strix, Rite of Oblivion. Hopefully we have enough colorless cards in here that this makes our mana not terrible, and I guess we can take a Radical Idea. It's filler playable. Make Disappear, I think, is better than Tahada's Ploy. Then gain life equal to the number of cards you've discarded this turn, and it's got Jumpstart. Do I have any reason to want to be discarding cards? I mean, I do have Kasmina and Kaito, which both loot, so I will be discarding cards incidentally as things go. Just to find Athreos, which I think is our biggest win condition. Our win conditions are our 3 Planeswalkers and Athreos. So we want anything that buys us time to that, and I think Make Disappear is probably better at buying us time to that. Plumb the Forbidden. It's only creatures you can sacrifice. It's also just 2 mana, instant speed, draw a card, lose a life with upside. We can't play a colorless land in our deck. Our mana is already pretty greedy. Are we playing any of these other cards over stuff we already have? Do we still just jam a Thought Monitor in here? We're starting to look a little better now, though. I mean, these are all mana rocks, so they're not really going to help. So the artifacts that are actually helping us cast Thought Monitor early are Baleful Strix, Solemn Simulacrum, Tokens off Karn. That's it? Because these are already mana rocks, so we can't really count those towards helping us cast things early. Sure, Palm of Forbidden, it's fine. We're not going to play that, I don't think, though. We don't have enough creatures. Spirited Companion is good at buying us time. Yeah, I mean, I want to buy time. I like Spirited Companion here. It's fine. Riel. Discard 1 or more cards for the first time. Draw that many cards. So we have Kasmina, Kaito to be discarding cards. We also have Radical Idea now. Yikes. I mean, we're not going to play Tameshi either. Bribeage Tracker, last pick. Okay. Y'all, I don't know about this deck. Let's see here. I think we can main deck a Seal of Cleansing here. Because I hope we can. I took it with the expectation that it was main deckable. If we can cast this Kaleidoscourge, it's going to be very good. Because it's the number of colors of mana used to spend to cast this spell, and it's not basic land types. So we can potentially cast it for, be 2 on the front side always, no matter what. But on the back side, it could be 4, I think, pretty reasonably. Rite of Oblivion. We have very little things we want to sacrifice to the Rite of Oblivion. It's a sorcery, so you can't do tricks. Well, I guess this probably is worded in a way that you can't do tricks with it anyway. Let's put Kaito up here. I'm going to put the Planeswalkers up top because they are threats. And then we got these 2 board wipes down here. I don't think we got there on Thought Monitor. I mean, the question is just, if it's a Muldrifter even, which it's not even going to be a Muldrifter that often. It's going to be like worse than Muldrifter without the Evoke. So I think that has to go. Okay. So where are we at? 2 board wipes. Fine. Do we have ways to find those board wipes? We have Spirited Companion, Baleful Strix, Kaito, Kasmina, Karn, Psalm Simulacrum, Radical Idea, rather, and Consider to kind of dig through our deck and find things. This is 32 cards, 8 of which are lands. So right now it is 24. So we probably play a 17 lands with 2 mana rocks. All right, what am I not playing over here? Lethal Scheme is in a pinch, fine. We don't have enough creatures for Diabolic Intent or Helm of the Host, as cool as Helm of the Host would be. We just did not get there on the Artifact deck. I mean, maybe people passing to us were in the Artifact deck, and that's why, but I'm hoping people don't have an answer for Athreos, and we can just steal all their creatures by going Athreos into board wipe or Athreos into multiple removal spells. Rite of Oblivion exiles, dies or is put into exile, so it also will track exile. Do we just cut Radical Idea? Do we need 17 lands? How bad is our mana? Let's find out how bad our mana is. This is always a fun thing to find out. Okay, white sources. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 white sources without basics. Blue sources. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Black sources. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Red sources. 1, 2. If we add a mountain, 3, 4. And then there's another one over here. So that means we're only going to be on 7 white sources for double. Ugh. 7 white sources for 2 double pipped rafts that we need to hit on time is pretty rough. I think if we go down an island and up a plains. Let's think through this one more time. White sources. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, including Talisman of Conviction. And then you can kind of count the Birth of Meletis as a virtual 10th in that it will get my second white source. I need to get to the first one, but it'll get me that second one. So 10, 11-ish white sources for 2 board wipes is I'm not happy with that. It's barely fine. Blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 blue sources. It's going to make it really hard to actually cast Creator of Mysteries, but we can always cycle it in a pinch, and that makes blue a little more of a kind of a splash color. And then black, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If 8 black sources, I think we're actually fine on black. I mean, it's true that Noxious Gearhulk is going to be hard, but I think the card is powerful enough to be worth playing. Oh boy, some people have a deck that's absolutely sick. I'm jealous because our deck is sick in the bad way, in the please my deck, she's so sick kind of way. Hoi. If we can cast these removal spells, we might be okay. If we can, cast Prismatic Ending, Galvanic Blast, Kaleidoscorch, Rite of Oblivion, Touch the Spirit Realm, when we need to, we might be okay. Metallic Rebuke is just a really bad mana leak, but I think we need it. I mean, what could we play over it? I don't know. I mean, Sai is just a 1/4. And I guess we could have artifact lands to sacrifice. We have one of those. I'm not going to look at what my other people are doing right now. This mana is really shaky. What I'm currently deciding is if I can afford to play a mountain. And again, without a mountain, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 red sources counting Talisman of Conviction, which I'm really not happy about. But we do have a fair number of ways to draw and discard cards. Like Kaleidoscorch might be the kind of thing where its main mode is being discarded to Kasmina or Kaito or to Jumpstart Radical Idea, and then we can flash it back later on when we actually find one of our very few red sources. That is an option there. In that case, Galvanic Blast looks pretty bad. Galvanic Blast is going to be shock every time, basically. My chances of having 3 artifacts in play are pretty low. So it's just shock. But I think shock is a good card. But is it a better card than 4-mana Murder? The only creature that could... I guess I could convoke with the colorless bits, so I could convoke with some of these cheap guys. I think we're going to cut Galvanic Blast for Lethal Scheme. We're still going to play Kaleidoscorch, but we are not going to play a mountain. This thing seems to have figured it out. Could also just play Woe Strider to buy time. Like, we're not the sacrifice deck or the token deck, but that does just buy time. And then we cannot play Kaleidoscorch. And now I just think we're just light on removal is the problem. So if we do this, we have more blockers early, which is good because we don't have removal for the problem cards. We just have to lean on Prismatic Ending, Touch the Spirit Realm, Rite of Oblivion, Lethal Scheme to get rid of the stuff that deals with our late game. This has got to be better. I'm sure some of you were screaming at the screen that I should have done this earlier. I think Woe Strider is like generically fine enough. I mean, it makes 2 blockers on turn 3, which I think is a good spot on the curve for us to be making some blockers. This is still 17 lands then, right? This is 32 plus 8, and we have 8 lands. Oh, no, this is only 16 lands. So do we actually need a cut? Or to play 16 lands, 2 mana rocks, 2 cantrips, 3, 4 cantrips if you count Spirited Companion and Baleful Strikes, which we should. 16 lands, 4 cantrips, 2 mana rocks. I think maybe that's okay. We really want to get to 6 mana with this deck. Like, really, really, really badly want to get to 6 mana, which is the only reason I'm thinking maybe it's not okay. But we do have Birth, 2 mana rocks, Solemn Simulacrum. I think we have enough mana sources in this deck. Yeah. Now, do we play the Blood Crypt or the Silver Bluff Bridge? Blood Crypt does not help with fetching anything because our only fetch land already gets our main colors. We do have one of each of our shock lands, which is really nice. I don't have to think too hard about my 1 fetch land. I know I can always get whatever color I want. Silver Bluff Bridge. What other reasons do I have to have an artifact in play? Let me see here. I think none. I think none other reasons to have an artifact in play. I guess slightly better with Karn, Scion of Urza. But is that worth coming into the play tapped? No, it's not. That's out of here. I think we can afford to keep the Blood Crypt just for Prismatic Ending value. Because it's a fairly high curving cube. There's a lot of 4-drops here. I want to be able to answer them, I think, in the late game. Oh, man. Tameshi, Emery, and Sai. I just didn't see the pieces for that deck. I mean, I saw the payoffs. I didn't see the enablers. I didn't see, like, cheap little spell bombs. I mean, I saw Combat Courier I didn't take, admittedly, but we wheeled something much better in that pack. What was it? Was it Baleful Strix? I didn't see enough pieces for that deck. I think this is how we're going to run it. Let's make sure we get our basic land count right. It's getting 3/3/3. I think I can actually shave. Well, no, I added Lethal Scheme, so I can't shave a black. Now I need to actually run that many black. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 blue. And then black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're on 9, 7, 9 right now. Well, we have Talisman of Conviction for the late game. Prismatic Ending value. Let's get this Blood Crypt out of here. Okay. I think this is the build. Yeah, I don't feel great about it, but I did my best. New first time ever drafting this cube. I don't know how the games are going to go. We're going to find out. I think I kind of drafted a deck that the cube designer did not really intend for there to be, which is to say a board wipe control deck with planeswalkers and an indestructible enchantment creature as the survives board wipes payoff. We're almost actually in range of being able to play Diabolic Intent. Not really. We need more creatures. But like, you know, sacrificing a dinky little token or the 0/4 or one of these cantripping creatures to go find your board wipe is pretty good. But I don't think we're quite there. We just got to find it naturally, and the rest of our deck does stuff. There's not a lot of air in this deck list. There's Consider, Talisman of Progress, Everflowing Chalice, Radical Idea. So there's like 4 cards worth of air. The rest is all board affecting or stack affecting stuff. I just don't know. Tune in on Monday to find out, or check on the YouTube next week to see all the cool videos. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, etc., etc.